Hello friends and welcome to the Weekend Catch-Up Club, the coffee morning gaming show brought to you every weekend by myself and Mr. James McClellan. This is episode 71. How you doing, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. As always, not enough sleep, but
Yes,
a smile on my face and a song in my heart. So
that's all we can ask for, really, isn't it? It's all we can ask for.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's been a big week of some gaming news, pal. There's a lot of things that are kind of getting announced and getting shared about again. When are we ever going to get a break of just no news? It always seems like it's a treadmill of being unable to keep up with absolutely anything.
That's the thing. I have asked for a break. I'm getting to the point where I might have to release an open letter to developers and say, could you please stop making games for just long enough? Because the list is only getting bigger by the day of things that I haven't yet played. But there's been a lot of stuff floating about the net. There's been some really interesting bits and pieces, and lots of stuff that I've had to put on a list and go, now I need to play that. I need to play that. So they're never going to give me a rest.
I have to announce first of all, before we get into any little headlines and stuff, that I'm really quite sad on this show, and I could kick myself because you remember a couple of weeks back we did the Special Effect Game Blast charity stream, the 24 hours thing, and we started that with the episode of the podcast with Marta and you and myself, and Twitch being Twitch, I forgot to click the archive button on Twitch to save the broadcast, and so that's gone. It's gone now.
Oh.
It's been binned by Twitch, and I have no record of it, and I'm gutted.
Well,
I'm gutted about that because we had some amazing moments there that I could have made little clips out of, and obviously we lost that podcast as well because that's oh no, god damn you Twitch, god damn you. I'm thinking,
I always forget that you've got a limited time to grab it, haven't you?
You do, and I forgot.
Yeah,
and
it happens.
We've got the memories, I suppose, Jay.
Exactly.
The nightmares and the memories as well.
I highly doubt as well that it'll be the last time that either of us stream for a ridiculous amount of time. So there'll always be more fresh insanity to be unleashed upon the world.
I know. I made the mistake because normally I would do like a multi-stream thing. So it's not just on Twitch. It's also on a private link on YouTube or something like that, just so there is like an archived version should I need it. And for some reason, I don't know why, I didn't do it this time. And I thought maybe it's going to like extra bandwidth stress over like 24 hours. It's going to be like too problematic or something. So I just did it to Twitch, and I thought I'll grab it later. It's fine. I'll remember to save it out and download it or something like that, or just like break it up into Twitch. So you've got like per game, it'd be like highlight reels or highlight clips or whatever the hell it's called on Twitch. And just like the weeks just kept on ticking over and getting away from me and losing track of where we were. And it's like, oh god damn it, it's gone. It's totally been wiped. Ugh.
Well, I think one thing I've noticed is the older we get, the recovery period for these things seems to get longer. So the brain is not fully functioning for a wee while afterwards. So, and you did sterling work, sir. So,
thank you.
I wouldn't worry too much. I really wouldn't. But
no, I mean it was pretty amazing actually that we ended up raising like over £1,000, which was incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I think we said it on the last show, but again, like a massive thank you to everybody who supported that and donated and watched and heckled and just was retweeting and just being a part of that awareness. What a great time. So here's to the next one where I will make sure to take a backup copy of everything that's going on.
That's the thing. We learn a lesson from everything we do. That's the important thing.
Every day's a school day, and it can be difficult.
We did it. We had an issue with that was during lockdown. Me and Alan, because we're idiots, decided we would go for the world record for the World of Warcraft Twitch stream, which was set at the time at I think 35.4 hours.
Oh my god!
And so we were like, yeah, we can do that. That'd be great.
Sounds manageable, yeah.
Yeah, like it didn't even. And I do it every time with any sort of marathon session. Every time in the run up to it, I'm like, I don't even know why I'm worried. This is easy. I just stay awake. I do it all the time. It's just you just do it, and then you sit down and you're 4 hours in, and your brain goes, "You're not going to enjoy this at some point." And you're like, oh no, the intrusive thoughts. It does. I can get quite stressed by it throughout, and and it gets tiring, etc., etc. But so we sat there. We did the session. Obviously, we were doing it for charity, not just because I hate myself. And we were sat there, and we got to the really. I had managed to accrue all the 5-minute breaks that you build up on world record rules.
Yeah.
So I had a good couple of hours in the bank. I had just been sat there just leveling for hours. And I had a couple hours, and I went away, and I got something to eat, and had an hour's nap. Worst mistake I've ever made in my life. And I came back to it very out of it, and sat down. But we managed to get all the way through it. I had a timer going, did all of but the timer went wrong partway through. And we submitted it, and the guys at Guinness were just sat there like, yeah, we can see you're very tired, you were awake for a long time, but sorry, no, try again.
Oh man, all for naught in the end there.
Yeah, but we raised a good amount of money. That was about when that was raising for Macmillan, I believe. So we raised a good amount of money, and it went really well, and it was fun. So
that's the main thing, right? It's like the obviously the world record would have been amazing, a little cherry on top there, but you got the funds and the awareness, and the charity was better off because of what you did. So there you go.
Yeah, and I've learned for next time. So. Because I am going to go for it again at some point. I've determined that will be mine. I don't know why, but that will be mine.
Yeah. So we've got quite a few headlines and stuff to go through this morning. Some are a little bit older because we were. I'm just rubbish at scheduling these recording sessions. I'm sorry, Jamie, but some are kind of a little bit more recent. But before we get into those, I want to say, Jamie, do you like Wang? Do you like Wang?
I'm not averse to a spot of Wang. What are we talking about?
I'm talking, of course, about Shadow Warrior 3, because that came out before our last or after our last recording, and I've been playing a little bit of it. Haven't been playing much because I haven't been able to tear myself away from obviously Elden Ring, which we've been talking about kind of non-stop. But I don't know where you stand on like the Shadow Warrior games, but I was a big fan of Shadow Warrior 2. And like the original way back in like the 90s, the heyday of like Doom, Duke Nukem, Quake and Unreal, and Shadow Warrior was kind of like part of that grouping of like 90s totally non-PC like shooters, first person shooters and stuff like that. And Shadow Warrior 3 was on my list of ones to watch for ages because it was supposed to come out like last year, and it obviously came out just now. And I remember seeing trailers and footage and stuff for it, and it looked just phenomenal. It looked like, and I think it's fair enough to say that it turned out to be this, a mix of Doom Eternal with Big Trouble in Little China, kind of blend of mashups. And from what I've played, I've only played the first couple of levels. It's very much like that because it's got the humor from Lo Wang and as the main protagonist, and it's got like the Chinese kind of mystical aesthetic and the like level design, but it really seems like they've doubled down on that kind of Doom Eternal arena shooter, balls to the wall, constant crazy action. And I'm actually really looking forward to diving into more because it just looks like something that's so dumb, so fun, so fast, switch your brain off popcorn shooter kind of game, which is a really nice tonic to the considered brutality and torture of Elden Ring at the moment for me. So check it out. What to watch.
I remember playing the first one. Back in the day, I remember playing that, and then it's not a series I've kept up with, really. I mean, there's only so much time in the day, there's only so many games you can play, I suppose. So there's, it's not a series my most recent exposure to the Shadow Warrior series is actually the DLC that they made for Viscera Cleanup Detail, where you get to clean up after a level in Shadow Warrior. So, which they managed to maintain the humour quite well, so it was good. But no, I've seen a little bit of people playing online. I need to actually dive in and take a closer look. But it definitely looked frantic in places, which I like. It's nice to have a shooter that just keeps your heart pounding as you're going through.
Yeah.
Which obviously Doom has been fantastic for. Those games are phenomenal. So. Yeah, no, it's on the list, isn't it? It's all on the list.
There's so many on the list. I know. Yeah, because you've got Game. Do you have Game Pass for PC and Xbox and things? Do you?
Oh, of course. So I'm such a shill for that.
Because this wasn't even on my list, but it just popped into my head because a friend messaged me about it. Because Guardians of the Galaxy is on Game Pass now, which is amazing. I bought it because I was really excited for when it came out, and my God, talk about a surprise of a game that was just turned out to be so awesome and so much fun. And in fact, I'm actually really surprised it's on Game Pass so soon. But that's one that's like, if you like superhero games, Marvel games, even like the movies for Guardians of the Galaxy, oh God, check out the game. Eidos Montreal did such an amazing job with this game. Like I was expecting it to be not very good, but maybe just good enough to be fun in the Marvel kind of space. Like, but my God, they absolutely smashed it out of the park. It's like a lot of fun. The banter is almost non-stop between all of the Guardians when they're in the battlefield. And I think we mentioned this actually before about like the soundtrack when White Wedding, Billy Idol comes on, or Never Gonna Give You Up comes on during a battle, or things like that, or I Need a Hero. These classic 80s tunes, right? When they're trying to take down these epic battle bosses, boss battles and stuff. It's like, they crushed that game like in a big way, and that was so wonderful to see for Eidos Montreal.
Everything I've seen of it made me very excited. When I heard it was coming to Game Pass, I was really happy because, obviously, as I've mentioned once or twice, and you can tell by the wall of nonsense behind me, I am a massive nerd for Marvel. Like I adore Marvel. Oh no! I hide it well, but I love. There's so many good stories and so many good characters in that that world, that universe, that it's whenever you see one coming out, and I know some of them haven't wowed. I know of Avengers was mixed reviews. I'm still going to get around to playing it eventually because it's a Marvel game and I want to try them all at some point. So, but Guardians really, everything I saw, it just looked good. Like it just made me want to play it.
Yeah.
And so and then of course, but time being what it is, I haven't quite jumped into it yet because I think I'm currently playing something like 7 different games in bursts. So it's like it's finding that slot for it. But I've some of the Marvel games over the years, I loved the Ultimate Alliance games, played them to absolute death.
Yes, that
the Lego Marvel games.
It needs to. Why aren't those coming back? Those games, man. It's like, they were so good.
I know. I mean, the third one came out, obviously, a little while ago, but only on Switch, as I recall. I don't believe it made it to any other platform, and that was definitely it was a shame for me, because I would have snapped that up. Like, that would have been a day one, because the first two were so good.
I've got it on Switch, and it is awesome. And at the time, I was saying, it was like, this game is the Marvel's Avengers game. That, like, the other consoles got, like, the big Marvel's Avengers game, but they felt never as good as Ultimate Alliance 3, the Black Order, I think it was called, on the Switch, because the Black Order had all of the characters that you want, just like the previous Ultimate Alliance games. Like everybody, the obscure ones, the main kind of headline ones, everybody you could think of, and it plays surprisingly well for the little Switch, and it looks amazing as well. And I just thought, like, if that came out on the main consoles with like extra bling and pizzazz and performance, there would be no reason to buy Marvel's Avengers, because this is what we want. This one here, Ultimate Alliance 3, that is the mashup where you can build your own teams and you can switch between the team, the different characters and things like that. Thor, Black Panther, Star-Lord, and all the other kind of Captain Marvel and all the other like obscure ones as well. And goddamn, like that for the Switch to nab that as an exclusive was pretty awesome. I don't know if it ever will come to other consoles. I hope it does, because see if that was just like boosted up to 4K, ran at 60 frames per second, extra little just effects and things going on, just to tighten everything up a bit, it'd be a slam dunk. I mean, maybe it will, because Monster Hunter Rise came to the PC, so maybe even that might eventually port over to the consoles. I'd love to see that, but that game could have sold gangbusters had it not just been on the Switch. The fact that it is on the Switch is great because it's portable. You can pick up and play, you can bash out a couple of missions, and it's perfect for that. But get that on the big machines and see what it can really do.
It's what I loved with the Ultimate Alliance series and and the Marvel Universe in general is, see, the fact that you can be a long-established comic book fan and know all the ins and outs of it, or you could be a fan who found Marvel through the cinematic universe and isn't. There are Marvel fans now who've never read a comic in their lives, which is great. Like there is there's definitely an element of gatekeeping online occasionally from some of the old school fans, which baffles me, because it's like, you love these characters, so if someone else has found a way to love them, you should be happy about that.
Yeah.
And I know people never read a comic, love Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then you've even got people who know it enough, who, they've seen a couple of the films, they think it's quite cool, but they'll still enjoy the game, because what everyone can get on board with is this massive cast of characters.
Yeah.
You're going to find someone you love. I mean, I've mentioned it before and to 1,000 people that one of my all-time favourite characters, who I don't believe, unless I'm mistaken, has ever made it to a Marvel game, although I accept why, because he is grimdark as hell, is Penance. I love the character of Penance, and it's very much, it's a really long story, and I tend to get a little bit too wrapped up in it, but the TLDR version is very much that it was a guy called Speedball with kinetic powers, big accident, discovered that his powers were then triggered by pain, wears what is essentially a BDSM suit, and goes out fighting crime, triggering it with... there's a lot, but there's so much to his story. There's a lot of PTSD in there. There's a lot of... There's a lot of trauma. It's a fantastic story. I love the character. And one day I'll get my Penance game, and I'll be happy, but not yet. But that's in the same... vein as you've got your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man swinging around, and you've got Squirrel Girl, and you've got like all of this. Like, you've got all these kooky characters and dark characters and strong, independent characters, and then completely broken characters trying to do the right thing. And there's something for everyone, and it's great to see them use that and make games with it, and then you get to put yourself in those shoes. I love it. I could gush about Marvel for hours. And everything that goes on there. So, I mean, the Guardians of the Galaxy game looks absolutely brilliant. It will be getting played. I've bumped that one up the list a bit, because now it's hit Games Pass. I'm like, well, I'll definitely have to pull my finger out and try that.
Before it goes off Game Pass as well, we'll try and jump on it. And even like from the... Play like the first mission or something, the first kind of story beat, and it'll grab you, it'll hook you, and it's like you'll just have a big old smile on your face, and it's like, oh my god, this is dare I say it, maybe even better than what they did with the cast in the films. And it's like, oh my god, it's so good. Like, so well done.
No, what I'll probably have to do is either stream it or record it, because that's the only way I seem to be able to force myself to play something new lately. It's like, because then it becomes like, well, I have to, because I've told the internet I'm going to do it, and then you go and do it.
They'll hold you to it. That's the good thing about Twitch streamers, like, they will hold you to it.
It's like a gaming support network. It's like, we will make you play this game because we want to watch you ultimately fail at it and be bad, which is how it works for me.
So, Jamie, next up, did you ever think that we would be talking about Grand Theft Auto 5 again? Almost 10 years later, when the game first came out on PS3 and Xbox 360. This game is outlasting console generations, for Christ's sake.
The following is ridiculous. I mean, I love me some GTA, but it seems to keep popping back up out of nowhere, and people... I mean, it trends. That's the weird thing as well. I'll notice it on Twitter. It trends quite regularly. Every now and again, it'll pop up because something's happened in it and people are fascinated by it.
Yeah,
and this is awesome. But
it's crazy to think, like, whenever there's like the quarterly sales list, like top 10 in the UK or top 10 globally, like GTA is always seeming to be like either top 10 or top 5. It's like, how is this game still making money? But it is. It's those shark cards. It's the online. It's like people are just like spending money on this thing constantly. It's like I can't believe it's still in there. It's wild.
It's got an element of it's the persistent online thing. Like for me, one of the things that I wanted in more MMOs over the years, and there was WildStar, which actually did it. Ultima Online did it back in the day. But like player housing and some customization and stuff like that. A place you can call your own in an online world is amazing. Minecraft's great for it. Like when you build a realm on Minecraft stuff, you build your place. That's your spot. It's awesome.
Yeah.
GTA gives you that. You can jump into this insane world of, everything from car races to bank heists to a guy flying past and shooting you out of the in the middle of the street off of his flying motorbike, which happened to me far too much when I was playing online back in the day. But so you've got all of that, but you've got your apartment and your business and your garage of cars and all of this sort of thing. It's great. It's got that real sort of it's not really immersion's not necessarily the right word, but that you can really let yourself go into this little fantasy of being this badass with a garage full of sports cars and an AK-47, which, not that I'm glorifying some of the things of GTA, obviously, but it's fun. It's insane.
It is a playground sandbox of like the highest order, isn't it? Like tornado jet fighters going around with the motorbikes jumping over them and rocket launchers in both hands and it's mental, absolutely mental.
Exactly.
And of course it's on the PS5 and the series consoles now. It's been spruced up a little bit. I was here's the thing. I was adamant I wasn't going to buy it again because I have it on PS4 and Xbox. And then I thought, well, unless they're doing like some tremendous like level of polish to it and like upscale, not even upscaling, some kind of like remastering work on it, I'm like, I'm not going to buy it. And then I saw the price of it on PS5 anyway, so it was only £8. That was the thing. I thought, oh god damn it! I know I shouldn't be giving them any more money because it's already made like 10 billion or something ridiculous over its lifespan. And I thought, yeah, but you know what? It's got ray tracing. It runs at 4K now. It runs at 60 frames per second, and I really like the story mode. And this is just the story mode. I thought, okay, it's an easy £8. I thought, okay, I'll just get it. I'm terrible because I never hold myself accountable to, like, if I say I'm not going to do something, I end up doing it. So I will not buy that, and then I'll end up buying it. So nobody can take my word seriously, clearly. But I downloaded it and I played the first kind of opening bit where you're doing the heist at the very beginning, and then you go to Vespucci Beach, and afterward you meet Michael. I've done all of that, and apart from the frame rate and the the resolution kind of bump, like I can't tell what the ray tracing is actually doing. It looks great and it runs great, and I thought, you know what, that's actually fine for £8. That's actually okay. And I know Digital Foundry have done a more like better analysis. Like you can see, okay, the shadows are actually really good when they do the side-by-side comparison. But if you're not doing the side-by-side comparison, you probably be none the wiser, other than the fact that it looks good. It looks really good. And it's like, god damn it, GTA 5 is, honest to God, one of those games which is such a masterpiece. When you get drawn back into it again, it's like that world simulation of San Andreas and all of everything that's going on in that city. It's like, it's like there's a reason why this game is highly regarded as like one of the best ever, and Rockstar regarded as like one of the best devs ever. It's because when they release their games, they are like so well crafted, and it just draws you back in again. It's like the hilarity, the tomfoolery, but also like the writing is always amazing. The performances are always amazing. It's like, I can see why they chose to just get it out on new consoles again. I know plenty of people are sick of GTA 5 rearing its head again, but you know what? For £8 on PS5, I think, and you know what, it's worth, especially for people who have maybe never played it or like never really been drawn to GTA games. It's I can see why they've put it out again. The only thing that really annoys me is the fact that it's so much cheaper on PS5 than it is on Xbox. And it's annoying because it's like 17 quid on Xbox, but it's £8 on PS5. And apparently, the online portion is even more expensive. It's like, if you want the story and the campaign, it's like 30 quid or something like that, or it will be after this kind of like window of 3 months. But right now, PS5, you get the story for £8 and the online is free, like totally free. Whereas, and after this kind of 3 month window in June time, the online is only going to be about 20 or something like that. I'll need to check my actual numbers. But when it goes past this kind of window on Xbox, it's going to be more expensive. And I don't understand the pricing shit that's going on with this, because it's obviously a great package. It's super cheap at the moment on PlayStation. The online is free. Like, the next gen online is free, whereas on Xbox right now you have to pay for the online to get the bump, the new version of it, which is really shitty. And I don't know, like, they never announced that. They kept that fucking quiet.
Yeah,
and it's just annoying.
It's one of those things as well. I'm sure there's some behind the scenes reason, whether it's a good reason or not, but I'm sure there's some behind the scenes reason that they've got for why it's happened.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that it's the same with. I mean, I rail against stuff like exclusivity and pricing issues and release date windows that it hurts the gamers. That's all it does. You're going to have a lot of people who, that's a lot of money to a lot of people. Like, yeah. I don't drop that much on games that often. I mean, it's one of the reasons I have Games Pass and a Steam library is that I cannot keep buying everything at full price when it comes out. It's
expensive shit, yeah. It's expensive.
I need to keep myself in head wax anyway at this point, so I've just seen how shiny I am on the camera. But so, you need that, you need the pricing to be fair. And I have gone to bat for the notion of voting with our wallets over the years and saying, at some point, like, this isn't okay. We're not going to buy this from you because it's, and it's a real shame because I love GTA. I've been playing since the original. This is the very first game.
Top-down classic.
I miss my Gavanga bonus and the old. I still will constantly find myself singing little songs like the original songs from the old games, like the. Was it the Ballad of Chapped Lips Calhoun? Which is the little country and western song that's in there. It's amazing. So yeah, I love them, but that is, and it's a bizarre price difference as well. It's not a couple of quid here and there, which I accept. Different markets and stuff. You understand that you're going to get little fluctuations. But no, that's a very strange one. That's the kind of thing, when that happens, I think it's important for the company to actually announce why the hell it's happening, because otherwise all people know is they're being gouged.
Yeah.
So, and totally. For all you know, that might not be Rockstar, that could be Microsoft's fault, or it might be Rockstar. Like, whoever's doing it needs to be held to task and shown why. And if they've got a valid reason, that will still suck, but okay. And if they haven't, then they need to be told it's not okay to do it. So.
Oh man,
but on the plus side,
frustrating.
I can now add GTA 5 to that. I now have a trilogy of games which will be released and ported until the end of time, which is now GTA 5, Skyrim, obviously,
yeah.
and I will never not give Mike Bithell hell for releasing Thomas Was Alone on everything. So, which. I love the game and I like Mike, so it's not an issue, but I will never not tweet him occasionally and ask him what he's porting it to next, because it's just, it tickles me, because every now and again I see it pop up and I'm like, that. It's great. It's nice to see games that have that longevity though, and people want to keep playing them. It's like, bring it to my new system so I can still play it. Like, that's a nice thing, I think. But yeah.
It's like,
that'll be.
Skyrim is one of those games for me where it might be my all-time favorite, like, open world game, because of just how kind of magical it feels to just wander around and discover. And you know that I've been crazy obsessed with Elden Ring the past couple of weeks and playing that pretty much non-stop. And I was playing it and thinking, I actually really want to go back and I actually really want to start a new character in Skyrim now, because it's giving me that same kind of vibe of traveling over this crazy, different, fantastical fantasy world, and it's not leading me by the nose. It's making me discover things on my own, when I'm discovering them in the direction I choose to go at any given point, and that's part of, I think, why so many people are enraptured with Elden Ring. The difficulty is a different discussion, but the way in which they've built that kind of world, and they're not shoving icons everywhere, it made me feel and think that Skyrim was like that. Like that first time you go out of the cave, it's like you've got the whole world. You can see various things. You've got a compass and stuff like that as well. But it's literally, okay, off you go and go and discover. We're not going to tell you where to go. And I really want to go and start a new game in Skyrim, because it's just like that. And what we're saying there about like you have a trilogy of games that get ported to everything. It's like there are very few games where the same game could be its own trilogy, because of the different editions that comes out. Because it's like there's Skyrim when it first came out, then there's the Skyrim Enhanced Edition, now there's the Skyrim Anniversary Edition. It's like the long running joke of Street Fighter and all the different editions of that game. It's like Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting Edition, Street Fighter 2 Ultra Hyper Fighting Edition. You know, it's that kind of mentality of marketing gobbledygook. Is hilarious. And GTA 5 is right there now, which is really bizarre. I didn't expect that at all. But
no, it was a bit of a surprise when you consider the way the GTA games went before that one as well. Like, there was always huge fan base, obviously, and people still go back and play. I mean, I've been back and played. I was playing the original GTA not that long ago for an afternoon spell, just for a bit of nostalgia. So games will always have that. Yep. But for a game to actually basically remain current for as long as they do, that doesn't happen all that often. So fair play to them. But yeah, fingers crossed we'll hear something about the pricing and maybe it'll get sorted. But because that is not great.
I know. Anyway, what's the next topic, dude? WWE's been getting a lot of really good press. Like we mentioned that briefly on the last show, but now that people have been able to spend a bit more time with it and really kind of get into it now that it's live for everybody, especially the online stuff, I think it's been this is the game that they wanted 2020 to be, or 2021 to be. I can't remember the years now. Last year's one was what? I don't know. What year are we in? It's just it's just a vortex of time.
Oh, right now. Yeah. I mean, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. We all
yeah. Or no, I think they took last year off, and then 2020 was this new team's first one, and it was apparently atrocious. It was just really, really bad. And now they've done their this version, which is apparently fantastic. I've seen some friends play it, and they've overhauled the controls, so it's more like combos, kind of like a fighting game almost. And they've kind of simplified it, but giving you more kind of flexibility with the controls. But the animation in these games these teams do not get enough credit for the level of animation in these wrestling games, because they are phenomenal. It's like watching the pay-per-view of WrestleMania, WrestleFest, Royal Rumble, and the obviously the current Federation stuff, which I'm really not that familiar with. And I was watching, I'm thinking, I feel like I'm watching the actual match here on TV rather than it's just a game.
Yeah, it's tricky for me. I've seen a mix of reviews to a degree with this one, but it's the look of it is phenomenal. I've seen some interesting reports on some bugs. These games always have the best glitches. They're great fun. When you slam someone off of a ladder through a table, except they don't go through the table, they bounce off it and disappear into the crowd, which I have seen happen in one of these games. And you stood there where's my opponent gone? And they're floating past. It's all gone wrong. So I love it. But I've seen that sort of stuff's fine. That happens. The graphics have come on leaps and bounds. They really, because 2K20 it wasn't crisp. It wasn't. It had its issues. Now, I haven't played extensively one of these games since 2K19 because, again, time and games. But when one is coming out, I tend to keep an eye on it, and I watch for the reviews and I watch the footage. The only thing with this one is that I've seen some people say that they haven't quite done enough for some fans to make it new. I think the thing that gets a lot of people, wrestling games used to be very arcadey, and the 2K series started to make them much more simulation than
okay.
Some of them could be quite difficult. Like some of the trying to counter stuff. Back in the day, all you had to do was hit the button to counter it, as long as you hit it just in the time window you had.
Yeah.
But these days, it's like the time windows are getting smaller. There's little button combos in some that you have to sort of try and you have little mini games almost that you have to try and get through to get out of a pin and stuff. It's like you want to button bash A is what you want. You want to beat the crap out of A until you either manage to get out of the pin or you get pinned and go damn it, and then book a rematch, but this time with a steel chair, because it's like I'm not having that. And for me, it depends on what sort of fan you are. Because obviously there's no right way to like it, but I think if you're an a fan of the older wrestling games, the new ones can be a little bit frustrating because you just want to get in there and start whooping on people. But at the same time, I'm still impressed as hell with everything they've done.
Yeah.
But this, I think it's. Yeah, I think people are generally impressed, and definitely the graphics. There's a good bit of comedy in there as well, which you need. There's a guy in wrestling, Jim Cornette has said 1,000 times, "Funny don't make money." Right? There are some old heads in the business who don't get that comedy in wrestling works and works brilliantly if it's done right, and it should be embraced. For me, one of the best things about wrestling, like some of my favourite memories of wrestling over the years, are some of the funny moments, the little comedic bits, and it's things like I go back to stuff like Edge, Christian, and Kurt Angle together. Team Eck, they were amazing, and they were always sort of just goofing about, and you could tell they were having a good time.
Yeah,
and it puts a smile on your face. By all accounts, the intro to this game is hosted by Drew Gulak, one of the superstars, and it takes you through it, and it's got a lot of little banter moments and funny bits, and it's a little bit self-referential and stuff like that. So it's that sort of thing like is definitely good because it's for the fans, which is good. And generally speaking, if you're playing one of these games, you're probably going to be a wrestling fan. Like it's not. Yeah, that's one thing. It's not the sort of game. It's the reason I don't play FIFA. Nothing against the games, but I'm not a football fan, so I don't want to play a football game. It's not. Yeah. So yeah, I'm impressed with what I've seen so far. Whether or not I'll get around to playing this one, because I seem to have stepped away from wrestling games a wee bit over the years, is.
Yeah, I'm tempted to dive into it because I got pressured into getting 2019, which I actually really kind of quite enjoy, but. That was the old, I guess, like control system, and as you said, like the countering was really difficult. It's like the right trigger and another button in order to counter, and then it's like such a short window to do it. Yeah, and now I'm thinking, but this overhaul of 2022 does look really good, and I'm sorely tempted to get it because I've got friends that like want me to get it, so we can all do like a Royal Rumble kind of thing online and have fun with that. I was thinking, I've got so much that I'm playing just now, but I do really like the look of this, and it looks so much fun. And a game series that I really want to come back with this level of polish is Fight Night, or like EA's Fight Night series.
Oh yeah,
I would love that. Like, because they're still bashing out their UFC games and some other ones like that. But it's like, my God, it's like go to town with the Fight Night series in boxing, because I used to love that series, especially when you got like the classic fighters. You got Muhammad Ali, and like Fight Night 3, I think was my favorite one, because that was, I remember the launch of the Xbox 360, going back a bit now, listeners, viewers, Fight Night 3 was the first time I'd seen like jaw-dropping, this is HD graphics, this is what we can do. And those, like when you did a haymaker to like and you landed it, and it would go into this kind of slow motion, and the face would just like wobble and shake, and the sweat would the beads of sweat would pour off, and you get some blood and everything. I'm thinking, holy shit, this is HD, this is the next generation of graphics. And I think, just imagine what we could do with that now in today's game engines and technology and fidelity and what is possible. It's like, give us a new Fight Night, goddammit, like, or even just remake one of the other Fight Nights with the new stuff. It's like, that would be incredible. It's like, but WWE are just killing it with their presentation. I'm thinking, it's like the mannerisms for the wrestlers, and even I'm not a follower of modern wrestling at all, and haven't been for a couple of decades really, but like the way like John Cena comes into the ring is thinking, whoa, they've captured like every little mannerism, and the other wrestlers that I'm not aware of or don't really know their names, but you're thinking, man, it is so good. They must have had so much fun just like mocapping these wrestlers, I guess, and mimicking absolutely every little trait that they have to do the celebrations and the signature moves and all the stuff you don't really think about, like the way hair dances and falls and the way they bounce off the ropes and the way they throw them and the way they like suplex them and all this kind of stuff is like every wrestler's different. It's not a canned animation that they just apply on a system level to all the wrestlers. They've all got their different ways of grappling and throwing the wrestlers around.
It's vital as well because obviously there's a lot of different styles within the industry. There's a lot of you've got and there are like literally like there's strong style and there's what they class like British style. There's technical wrestlers. You've got your high flyers. You've got your just pure brawlers. You've got Undertaker, the best pure striker in the WWE, and I watch a lot of it. Most of the wrestling that I watch is me and the guys all got WWE Network, so we'll sit there and it's frustrating. They need to add Watch Party to Network because you have to sit there and count down and go 3, 2, 1 and then all hit play at the same time.
Right.
But we sit there and we'll watch the old. We've been watching through from like 96 all the way up to basically we're going to modern day. We're in 98 now, so we've hit the Attitude Era in WWE. We're also watching WCW, and you've got all these amazing characters, and you still do. Even if WWE are releasing their entire roster bit by bit over the past few months, but that's a whole other podcast. But the thing that I always liken wrestling to soap operas, for anyone who doesn't really get it, it's like in a soap opera, you've got your good guys, you've got your bad guys, you've got the bad guys who become good guys, the good guys who become bad guys, and it all ends in a punch-up. That's wrestling. That's soap opera. We know it's choreographed, we know it's predetermined to a degree, there's storyline and scripted.
Yeah.
At the same time, these guys are phenomenal athletes. Who you've some of them. I mean, some of the recent wave. Becky Lynch, ridiculously incredible. Alexa Bliss, one of my personal favorites because she's just so nasty to people. I love it. Like it's empty. Alexa, stop.
Wow.
Every time I say her name talking about wrestling, every time.
She's supposed to be part of the conversation. That's it.
God damn it. Other AI robots are available, but
yeah,
some of the wrestlers now are like there's just phenomenal talent, but they all you can very much identify them by the way they move. So if you're a real nitpicking like hardcore fan,
right,
and you're playing one of these games, it would be very frustrating if it worked like they used to back in the day, which is that you had Suplex 1, Suplex 2, Suplex 3, and it just depended who got it. So they've done amazing work over the years and cannot ever be faulted with the amount of motion capture they do. They get a lot of wrestlers. They don't individually mocap all the wrestlers, but they get a lot of wrestlers in who are able to mimic style at least, and then they will do the mocapping. And they do tons of individual bits, and they body scan all the wrestlers, so they've got as much detail as possible. So the work that goes into it is phenomenal. I think it's just a case of it's always you're never going to please everyone with wrestling games because there's always going to be that guy who wants a more ECW experience and that guy who wants something where he can build a little bit more of a fancy league of his own, and so you get that sort of thing. I will say though, for anyone who's enjoying 2K, it's worth keeping your eyes peeled because there is an AEW wrestling game coming out as well. We're still waiting on more news on that one.
I heard about that. Yeah, it's like a breakaway kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean AEW have been doing some amazing stuff, and they've got a lot of talent over there now. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with, and see if it. I think it might give 2K a little nudge to sort of start changing things.
Is the AEW wrestling game by the original team that did do the 2K games, and then they left, and then that's why 2020 was like really bad because it was a new team that had to like pick up the mantle. Is that roughly what was kind of happened?
Essentially, if I remember rightly, and it's been a while since I've caught up on what's going on with the game, if I remember rightly, it's basically some of the old THQ crowd, or I keep thinking of, I don't know why I keep thinking of them as the Aki guys, because it's back in the day it used to be AKI, but it's some of the old school wrestling guys, I believe. I'm sure there's a couple of people who worked on the TNA game they made back in the day, which the game itself was fun, but it didn't really have the budget or the support to go wide. Yeah. It didn't, right. it didn't really do numbers, but it was a fun wee game to play. I'm not sure the exact team, but I'm sure it's some of those guys and some of the guys who've worked, in these and have now doing their own thing. I do not know the name of the developer that's working on it, but AEW have just been teasing little bits occasionally. They're still very early developmental stages, but they also have a phenomenal amount of money behind them, so which can only help. I mean, much as I hate to admit it, it does make the world go round, and if you've got enough to throw at something, then you can afford to get in the guys you need to get the job done. So it doesn't always mean you'll get a stellar game, but it definitely gives you a better starting point to work from. So, so we shall see. But
yeah, it makes me really want to play it and probably get it.
Same.
I'll probably foolishly buy it over this weekend or something like that. And yeah, it's just another one to play on the list. But I think the cool thing about that is it's not like a typical single player game or big multiplayer game where you have to constantly play it. You can dip in and have a couple of matches, and then it doesn't really matter if you're not sticking with it constantly or addicted to it. You can just pick it up, have some fun games, and then go on to something else. And it's one of those games that you can bounce off of quite easily and come back and always come back to. So I think it feels like a really good. I think for our gaming schedules, I think it's probably an ideal little style of game, and it just looks phenomenal. Yeah. So we're going to wrap there. We're going to wrap there because we're on the hour. We didn't. Well, there are some more topics that we could discuss. What I'm going to do, Jamie, is for next week's show, we'll save the big Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy state of play review. We'll save that for next week's show, and we'll have a really good kind of deeper dive discussion on that one. I don't want to just rush it because it did look, for me anyway, it looked phenomenal. It looked really good, so I want to talk about that. But anyway, that's it for now. We are on the hour, everybody. So thank you so much for tuning in, for listening, and for supporting the podcast. I have been Ross Pollock, the main host, and of course my co-host extraordinaire, James McClellan. Always wonderful to get us both together and just blather and talk about games. It's a highlight of my week for sure, and hopefully maybe it will eventually become a highlight of your week. Who knows? We'll see. But anyway, guys, take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great week ahead, and happy gaming. Bye-bye.